All right, so moving on to the final segment, we're going to pivot over here to the world of MMA inside the UFC world. And I'll be sharing my fight prediction between Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. This will be the main event of UFC 318 at the lightweight division, with Max Holloway defending the BMF title against Dustin Poirier in the main event of UFC 318. So let's get to the following storylines that I have for this respective fight. Can Dustin Poirier go out on a high note? This is the last dance, the last fight of Dustin Poirier's UFC career. And Dustin Poirier, he's been a great lightweight fighter. The only thing that is missing from Dustin Poirier's UFC career is being an official world champion. And yes, he did defeat Max Holloway to win the interim lightweight title 2019. That's crazy that the last time they fought was 6 years ago. In 2019, Dustin Poirier did defeat Max Holloway to win the interim title. It's just unfortunate that he's never going to be recognized as a true, legitimate world champion in the UFC. But it's coming to an end. But he can go out on a high note. He can win the BMF title. That title means a lot. It's not an official title, but that means you're the baddest motherfucker in the UFC if you hold that BMF title. So that does speak volumes. And if he could defeat Max Holloway, he would actually go up 3-0 in the trilogy. So we're going to see if Dustin Poirier can officially go out on a high note to close out his UFC Hall, which will be a UFC Hall of Fame career. Next storyline is, can Max Holloway finally defeat his kryptonite Dustin Poirier? I think Max Holloway needs this win more than ever. Dustin Poirier loses the fight. Okay, you're going out on your shield. So be it. That's how we're going to remember you. But for Max Holloway, he needs this win more than ever because you're once again back in the lightweight division. This lightweight division is stacked and loaded with some names. Mind you, Ilia Topuria, the guy who just knocked you out at featherweight, holds that lightweight title. There's so many contenders. There's Justin Gaethje, there's Charles Oliveira still, there's Arman Sarukin, there's Paddy Pimblett. There is so many contenders at this lightweight division right now, and a win here would be huge for Max Holloway, get himself in the conversation for a world title shot, possibly down the line in the calendar year 2026. A loss here derails your momentum and you go down the rankings and the lightweight division, a division that you just chose to move back up to. So I think Max Holloway needs to send a message to the lightweight division, and he needs this victory more than ever if he wants to be in the conversation for a championship fight at some point in 2026. But let's get into the tail of the tape here. Starting off with Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier has 30 victories, 9 losses to his UFC career. He has 16 victories come away of knockout, 7 victories come away of submission. Currently the 6th ranked contender in the lightweight division, stands at 5'9" with a reach of 72 inches. Then I look at Max Holloway. Max Holloway has 26 victories, 8 losses to his UFC career, has 12 victories come away of knockout, 2 submission victories. Currently the 5th ranked lightweight contender in the lightweight division, and is the BMF champion, stands at 5'11" with a reach of 69 inches. So the height advantage goes in favor of Max Holloway, but the reach goes in favor of Dustin Poirier. We're going to see if that reach can be in Dustin Poirier's advantage, in his favor, and he uses that to his advantage like he did in the first 2 fights. But these are the following game plans that I have for these respective fighters to follow. They want to walk out victorious in the main event of UFC 318. Starting off with Max Holloway. Max Holloway needs to win the counterpunching battle. And especially in the second fight that I rewatched between himself and Dustin Poirier, the counter skills need to be effective. And it was landing to Dustin Poirier in the second fight between the 2 respective fighters. The counter punches was definitely getting there. And he is a dangerous counter puncher that can end the fight in a blink of an eye and a snap of a finger. And I think if he has a shot of defeating Dustin Poirier in this trilogy, he needs to go and win the counter punching battle against a dangerous boxer in Dustin Poirier. Next, I think Max Holloway needs to tire out Dustin Poirier and use the cardiovascular endurance to his advantage. Now, Max Holloway, I think he has one of the best cardiovascular gas tanks on the entire UFC roster, no matter the division. This man's punch output in between rounds from round 1, if it goes to round 5, is absolutely phenomenal. This man does not get tired. He does not get fatigued in the octagon. This man can go full speed from round 1 all the way to round 5, which is remarkable, and a 25-minute fight in the octagon. So his punch output needs to be on full display here. I think landing the significant strikes needs to be on full display, and he is one of those fighters that is crazy enough to take the punishment in order to dish out the punishment. So I think that's what Max Holloway should do. Depend on his cardio endurance and his punch output for this rematch, for this third fight against Dustin Poirier. And that's last but not least, I think Max Holloway needs to switch stances often. And what he does best is switch stances often, and that comes with having great footwork in the octagon. And he can fight different angles to catch Dustin Poirier off guard or make him make a mistake defensively. And that opens the door for Max Holloway to land significant strikes and land some leg kicks to the body or to the head. So I think that's going to be very important for Max Holloway to follow. Now, starting off with Dustin Poirier, I think he needs to outbox Max Holloway. I think Dustin Poirier, still to this day, with retirement in the near future, still is one of the best pure boxers that the UFC has to offer. I think he has huge striking abilities and landing the power punches. He's rocked and hurt Max Holloway in a way that we have never seen in the past up until that Ilia Topuria knockout in late of 2024. Dustin Poirier is one of the only guys to really frustrate and outbox and outclass Max Holloway in the striking department. So I think Dustin Poirier should land the hooks, the straight right hand, the straight left hand, in order to have an advantage in this fight between himself and Max Holloway. Next, I think Dustin Poirier should stay on the high guard defensively. If he can have his hands up, stay on the high guard, that could go in a real strong way for him to defeat Max Holloway once again. And staying in the high guard defensively, he can avoid the big signature shots that Max Holloway is going to be looking at to dish out to him, or will try to land in that octagon. It could help Max Holloway. It could help Dustin if Max decides to fight in the pocket or in the clinch a lot in this third fight between himself and Max Holloway. So definitely should fight in the high guard defensively. And last but not least, I think this is your last fight. You might as well lay it all on the line. You got nothing to prove and nothing to lose. If you're Dustin Poirier, let it all hang out for 5 rounds, because this your last dance. And I think he should match Max Holloway's punch output and fight at a fast-paced energy to give us fans something to remember on your last fight. You get knocked out, so be it. If you win by knockout, good. If you win the fight, no matter what, he has nothing to lose but everything to gain. He should fight at a fast pace to not only entertain myself and other fans around the world, but I think it's going to be very important to match Max's high-paced energy and his cardio endurance in this third fight between himself and Max Holloway. But with that being said, I'm going to go with Dustin Poirier to defeat Max Holloway and win the BMF title. And I think he's going to win that fight by knockout in the main event of UFC 318. Now, I just don't see this fight going the distance this time in the trilogy, in the third and final fight between Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. And I think it's going to go on a high note, get the fans something to remember, winning the fight by knockout and winning the BMF title. And once someone has your number in combat sports, it means that they are the better fighter. And I think Dustin Poirier will go up 3-0 in this trilogy between himself and Max Holloway. And I'm going to be the one to say it. It shouldn't have been Max Holloway that was Dustin Poirier's finals opponent. And I say that with all due respect. It really should have been a different trilogy that we got, and really should have been Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje, because that was tied 1-1. I think that should have been Dustin Poirier's final fight. But getting back on track, I think Dustin Poirier is going to use his boxing skills to outbox and outclass Max Holloway as the fight keeps remaining on the feet. I think we're going to see Dustin Poirier's boxing skills, his MMA IQ, and I think Dustin Poirier is going to win the counterpunching battle to defeat Max Holloway by knockout. I just see Max Holloway accidentally walking into a clean shot, a clean 1-2 combination, or some punches and flurries that Dustin Poirier is going to throw at Max Holloway. I think he's going to give the fans something to remember him by, winning that BMF title and being the baddest motherfucker that is going to hold that title and walk out on a high note in his last dance. I think this is going to be one hell of a fight, one hell of a show. I just don't see it going the distance with Dustin Poirier having his hand raised and winning the fight by knockout, to go out on a high note and a storytelling ending to your illustrious UFC career. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off, and I'll see you guys on next week's episode.